Good day, everyone. I am Ariana Garcia Balanay, and we will talk about the Americanization and creation of colonial mentality. So, first, we will talk about the introduction of Americanization. It says that Americanization in the Philippines began during U.S. colonial rule and reshaped the Filipino society through English language education, new cultural practices, and widespread media influence. And the second one is the introduction of English. And also, English became the official language of government and courts, replacing the Spanish becoming central to public education. And the third one, we will talk about the adoption of American customs and culture. The spread of English language, Filipinos also adopted many American customs and cultural practices. These include American values such as individualism and punctuality, as well as everyday influence like fast food, sports, music, holidays, and media. This cultural blending happened both through voluntary adaptation and through pressures and colonial rule. Over time, this created a mixed identity in the Philippines, one that incorporated American influence while still maintaining Filipino tradition. And this is the influence of media and Hollywood.
Maślszczęście.
And now we're bound to discuss the creation of colonial mentality. Colonial mentality refers to the internalized belief that one's own culture is inferior to the colonizer. In the Philippines, this developed after centuries of under Spain and later the United States. During these periods, colonial powers promoted the idea that Western culture, language, appearance, and values were superior. This message was reinforced through schools, religion, government system, and media. And last, we will talk about the effect and lasting impacts of colonial mentality. As a result, many Filipinos began to prefer foreign, especially Western standards over their own. Examples including favoring lightened skin, foreign brands, English over local languages, and Western cultural practices. These mindsets creates feelings of self-doubt, lower self-esteem, and cultural disconnect. In conclusion, Americanization in the Philippines began during U.S. colonial rule and reshaped Filipino society through English language education, new cultural practices, and widespread media influence. English quickly became the official language of government and courts, replacing Spanish and becoming central to public education. Filipino also adopted many American customs such as food, music, values, and holidays, creating a blended cultural identity. Hollywood and global media strengthened Western influence, shaping beauty standards, lifestyle ideals, and political views. These processes contributed to the development of a colonial mentality where Filipinos come to view Western culture as superior. This mentality has had long-lasting effects, including lower self-esteem, preference for foreign products, disconnection from indigenous roots, and internalized feelings of inferiority. Americanization modernized the Philippines but also produced cultural tensions and enduring debates about identity, authenticity, and the impacts of colonial rule.
By 1890, many of America's largest cities were dominated by immigrants. These newcomers came from a range of countries, but they all faced the same challenge of adapting to a new American way of life.
Eventually, this period from the 1880s to the 1920s will be called new immigration. It's larger, but it's also shifting from what the previous period, which was more northern and western Europe, now to southern and eastern Europe. And the two biggest groups are Italians and Jews coming from Russia and from other parts of Eastern Europe. And they come with different cultures, different languages, different religious traditions.
These immigrants often settled in already booming urban areas. By the late 19th century, more than 80% of residents in cities like New York, Chicago, Milwaukee, and Detroit were either foreign-born or had foreign parents. Most newcomers settled wherever they had family or ethnic ties or employment.
The nice thing about the cities was there was work. There was ready work available. Now, there were terrible working conditions, terrible living conditions, overcrowding, but there was work. Once one member of the community had settled, they would write to their friends and family and say, come on over.
The immigrants arrived in droves, often establishing ethnic enclaves within large cities, such as New York's Little Italy. As they clung to many of their old ways, immigrants were simultaneously pushed to become Americanized.
Americans say, well, if we're going to accept immigrants, they need to assimilate almost completely, as much as possible.
Unlike earlier waves of immigrants, young foreigners arriving at the turn of the century had a new place to pick up the English language and adopt American values: public school.
By the 1880s, 1890s, public schooling is pretty much mandatory everywhere. And so there's this apparatus by which young immigrants will be converted into Americans. They'll be taught English, they'll be taught civics, they'll learn about George Washington, they'll learn about the Constitution, they'll also learn about intangible cultural things like order and discipline.
While many older immigrants clung to their homelands through newspapers and theater productions in their native languages, many children quickly traded former traditions for a new American way of life.